Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian, and welcome you guys to another episode of the DREAMERSPRO show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic, debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things. And we see them. And today we got a hell of a show in store for you guys. Before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Well, it looks like we got some pretty big news coming out of the hallways of ESPN. As you guys know, over the last year and a half, ESPN has been doing some serious cord cutting. The last time they went through some cord cutting, cost cutting, they fired some pretty big names. They fired Max Kellerman. They fired Jalen Rose. They fired Mark Jackson. They fired Jeff Van Gundy, just to list a few, right? And a lot of people were discussing this, but in the aftermath of that, people like Stephen A. Smith and others said that this isn't the first time that something like this has occurred, and it certainly won't be the last time, right? So he said that for people to be like, okay, look, I know some of you guys are surprised, but this shouldn't shock you if this occurs again in the future. Now, what the specific financials of ESPN, what they are, I really don't know. I know that they're in negotiation with Stephen A. Smith to extend his contract. I think they probably have, because now he's back at working at ESPN. I think the figure he requested over the next 5 years was $125 million. It was either $100 million or $125 million over the next 5 years. So he's back on the show. I'm probably assuming that maybe they came to some sort of agreement. And if they're getting rid of all of those other people, chances are they want to keep their most high profile analysts at the network, like the Pat McAfee's and others. They just brought in Shannon Sharp into the fold of ESPN First Take. He has a contract with them, so one would assume that Stephen A. Smith is going to get an extension as well, and if he doesn't, I'm going to be absolutely floored. So yesterday, Mitch, who works with us, sent an article to the group chat, and essentially it was a front office sports article that had the headline saying ESPN cuts Robert Griffin III, Sam Ponder, and cost-cutting moves. And I was like, wow. By the time it came across my desk, it was much later in the day, so we weren't going to shoot any content. Yes, yesterday we had about 4 shows that we produced, so I was like, no, we're probably going to touch on this the following day. So this is the article that I actually want to get into. I want to get into all of the details and read it out for you guys. Before we even get into this front office report, today's video is brought to you by our sponsor, Game Time. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster and easier. For example, I am super excited about the upcoming MLB games. With Game Time tickets, I can easily pick the best tickets for me. I love that I can choose between different deals. I have the option to select the cheaper deal, the best option deal, or my favorite, the flash deal. The flash deal gives me the option to find discounts that I can only find on Game Time. Once I select the ticket I want, I can view my seat. And it's not just restricted to baseball. I can also look for the best ticket deals for other sports like football, the NBA, concerts, comedy, or other theater shows. Included in my purchase, I also have a 24-hour return guarantee, a lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection. So take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Again, create an account and redeem code CLNS for $20 off. And remember, whenever you support this sponsor, you're supporting this channel. Thank you. So let me get into what this article had to say. It continues on. First the insult, then the injury. Months after ESPN demoted former NFL quarterback Robert Griffin III from its Monday night's countdown team, the networks fired him. Griffin and Sam Ponder, the host of Sunday NFL Countdown, both lost their jobs on Thursday. The news was first reported by The Athletic. Griffin, who last played in the NFL in 2020, had 2 years left on his deal. As is usually the case in high-profile talent layoffs, ESPN will still pay out his contract. A source familiar with the move called it a straight business decision amid cost-cutting. Though both parties are still owed money on their contracts, they could be offset in place if they were hired elsewhere. Griffin, in particular, is certain to be in high demand. Fox Sports was said to be interested when he was ultimately hired by ESPN in 2020. ESPN decided to replace Griffin with Jason Kelce on Countdown months ago. Griffin was set to receive an NFL-level salary while working college games this fall. After the news broke, Griffin posted a clip from the movie Friday where John Witherspoon's character asks Ice Cube, "How the hell you going to get fired on your day off?" Fonda was a longtime ESPN fixture, starting at the company in 2011 and working her way up to a Sunday NFL Countdown host in 2017. She had hosted the show for the last 6 years. Countdown was slated to be her only role at the network in 2024. Fonda reportedly agreed to a 3-year, $3 million deal in 2022. So you heard the article. Robert Griffin seems to have some humor. That was a classic line in Friday that I'm sure some of us saw hundreds of times, that movie, right? What are my thoughts on this? Well, I don't know what RG3's contract is, but her contract is what, $3 million? So ESPN wants to make a $3 million savings. What I could think is that maybe whoever they're looking to replace her, they're probably going to get her cheaper. Usually that's what happens, right? Usually when companies make these high profile layoffs and they're firing people that earn a lot of money in their company, usually what happens is the people that they replace them with, they're going to pay them a lower salary and then pay them that salary as time goes on and their salary matures based on their tenure at the network, and then probably go out there and get somebody else new or whatever and just repeat the process all over. It's a way of saving costs, right? Companies do it, all the time, right? They just replace you for someone else to come in and fill that role and do it for much cheaper, right? Especially when they're getting their start in that particular organization. So you have that there as well. You also heard the article mention something interesting, which was networks like Fox Sports were actually looking at RG3 back in 2020. Why is this information pertinent? Because, as you guys know, Skip Bayless is no longer going to be working at FS1. Undisputed, as a matter of fact, is going to be canceled, which means that there's some open roster spots. The show that is going to be replaced with Undisputed, we don't know the name yet, but we know some of the people that are going to be working on the show. Articles and various sources have alluded to the fact that Chicago radio personality Danny Parkins could be there. We also heard names like Emmanuel Acho. Emmanuel Acho, funny enough, is very polarizing. For whatever reason, some people don't like Emmanuel Acho. He's gotten into various spats with various people on the internet. I don't think that RG3 is a polarizing figure, and I'm sure that, look, if he's going to be available, maybe they may be able to bring him into the fold. Obviously, the article also pointed out something that I just want to quickly, I want to quickly go back to. Speaking about his salary, let me just get back to that part where I read it. Okay, listen to this. It says Griffin, in particular, is certain to be in high demand. Fox Sports is said to be interested when he was ultimately hired in 2020, and then it said that the article says something about if they hired him, that would be able to offset his salary. So if ESPN is going to continue to pay him, then the new company may be able to cover the cost of whatever his contract is going to be, right? So you have that as well. It may be FS1 is willing to pay the number. We don't know what the number is. I certainly don't know what the number is. But really, look, this really shows you how fluid the sports world was RG3. The sports world is. Right? It just really shows you that, look, things are changing quickly. I think that's why you see a lot of guys out there starting their own shows, doing their own thing outside these networks to have a safety net. And I think that anybody that's in the sports media space, especially if you're on television, that's serious, most likely is going to have something to fall back on, have a podcast or something like that. And one can make an argument that's what saved people like Shannon Sharpe. Imagine if Shannon Sharpe, his only thing that he was doing was Undisputed. That's why I never believe in people that tell you just do one thing and do that one thing only. No, I don't believe in that. Things happen. Things can change. The world changes. You got to have options. I don't believe just going all in on one thing and not having other things that you're doing on the side, unless you plan to work 24 hours a day in that one particular thing. I don't believe in that. I believe that you diversify yourself and just be ready to adjust whenever things happen, right? And Shannon Sharp serves as a perfect example of someone that did that. Undisputed said, look, we're no longer going to be working with you. He had already been building something on the side with Club Shay Shay. He was able to transition into that beautifully. He didn't rest on his laurels. They went out there and did Nightcap, and with what is it? I can't remember his co-host's name. They started doing that together, and then now before you know it, it became a major asset of his that actually catapulted him into being in a place where he was making more money, talking about sports and news and what's happening in the culture than he was ever making when he was an professional NFL player, right? So maybe RG3 is doing something like that. I just YouTube something. I see a channel. I'm trying to look for a channel of RG3, whether or not he has his own YouTube page. I don't know that yet. Maybe he has his own podcast. I don't know that yet. I guess we have to wait and see. But hey, this is how things happen, and this is the world that we're living in right now. And I guess everybody should just, be prepared to, if one thing happens, be prepared to be able to do something else. These are my thoughts. What I want to know from you guys, what do you think about this news? What do you think about ESPN's decision to get rid of RG3? Maybe for some of you guys who watched him discuss sports, football, let me know what your thoughts are on all of this. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments. We catch you guys on the next show. Peace.